Large systems review, the methadone treatment system, that I know we want to hear from at some point as well, but we want to do that more in the form of thinking about what the implications are for us locally moving forward. So the floor is yours. I saw the first hand over here. In I think the gray city?
I'll just go into the discussion now.
Oh, okay. All right, so I saw Laura's hand, then Diane's.
I just want to know what does anybody know what the protocol is for people to receive methadone in jail? Does anybody know? Is there a really specific guideline that they are supposed to follow?
Yeah, I can answer that. When I did my basic year in '09, I was on morphine, and I was told by Dr. Schlagenplate to go on methadone. Well, very quickly I got reduced from 180 to 2 weeks later to 120, and cut off my benzos right away to 120 2 weeks later, then to 60, and then cut right off, and then large doses of ibuprofen, and that was great. But they do give it out very easily in most of the lower mainland that I know of, in Surrey, Surrey pre-trial, and North Fraser pre-trial. The rest I don't know exclusively. Prince George is very good, I hear, but the rest, as you were saying, I don't know, and it's hard to tell.
Okay, just interject again. I'm just meaning if there's somebody, maybe one of the service providers, not service provider types, can tell me if there is a certain protocol, because I know I've received methadone in different provinces in jail. I just want to know if there is some guidelines they're supposed to be going by, and if there is, then please tell me, because I'm going to shout really loud about them really soon. All right, Ron.
Well, my understanding is that if you show up in jail, and pre-trial is a bit of a funny place because it's basically a no man or no woman's land, and it depends whether they can get the physician on time and whether the nurse wants to bother to find out what your pharmanet showed.
Yeah.
So it's really depends on who's on at the time looking after the inmates, who's there to sort of take care of you. But the general principle is that you should be maintained on your methadone if you're on methadone when you come in.
Okay.
But it doesn't happen in practical.
No, so that's what I've always thought, but I guess the thing is that
why isn't there?
why isn't there? Like,
Well, and I think that's a question that's come up a few times tonight, hasn't it, right? Is that we should have a system, we want to have a system that we can rely on. And right now we know that there's some really good pockets of places where people can expect and get really good care. But why can't we expect and get that really good care every time we walk into every door? And it shouldn't have to depend on who you know or how loud you can holler, right?
And what your
so
address is.
Yeah. So Diane and then Jules.
I was the one who did on paint.
Yeah, me.
Okay, here in Canada, or here in BC, anyway, they don't, there is almost opposite of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Once you get put on methadone, whether it is for pain medication or what, you are treated like an addict.
Okay. So there is no difference?
No. When I know many people who have worked, one in particular, my really good friend, she worked as a crane operator for 30 years. She broke her back, and after she went through therapy and all that, she worked for another 4 years on morphine for her pain, and she was able to work. Her doctor retired, another doctor put her on methadone, and not being from down here, she lived in Nelson or somewhere up there working. The doctor put her on methadone. And now, because of the stigma and all that went with being on methadone in Nelson, people there started treating her like an addict. So she ended up coming down here, and now she is an addict because she has to be, because there's nothing, that's what they turned her into, and that's only one story out of many. And also, do they give it out at, like here, the protocol is supposed to be that when you're on it for pain, you take it 3 times a day with a breakthrough dose at night. Not a chance. Not a chance. You get it once a day like everybody else, and that's it. No liquid.
They don't want to
gotta
give you
drink
tablets because they say it's too easy for you to inject. But and we're also told that it's more expensive because actually my pharmacist suggests to me, because I have such a high dose, that when I've been traveling, just so things don't happen, like with me getting the different, is that to go on the pills, but my doctor doesn't want to prescribe them.
Well, I know that's been an issue for a lot of folks, because you can't always get the pills covered by pharmacare. And so that's a barrier that's, you know, that a lot of people are facing when you know, thinking about making options in the system. Sometimes they're there, but they're not ones we can get access to because of some bigger problems. Jules?
A couple of things. One, I noticed that it makes a huge difference when you go to jail. If you're already on the methadone program, it's usually not a big problem getting your methadone in jail. If you're not on methadone already, that is a totally different story. It can take weeks sometimes, if you even get it at all. And another, I was told that in the States they have actually different brands of methadone. Like they actually have different brand names or different types of methadone. I didn't even know there was such a thing here in BC. I've never heard that. There's only one type of methadone as far as I'm aware.
Is there different
But
brands?
apparently there is in the States. They have, I don't know if anybody knows about that or not.
So like well, you know, generic brand and non-generic methadone?
No, like actual names.
Actually, like Dow, Lilly, whatever.
Yeah.
Down there, they don't ask how many milligrams you're on. They ask you
What kind?
what kind you're on.
Yeah.
Methadone are you on?
Oh, gosh.
It's strange.
All right, sorry, I'm going to...
It's all right. My name's Erica, and I work for the Warm Zone in Abbotsford, and I'm also on the ECU, Con Drug War Survivors in Abbotsford, and we live in a city that has a harm reduction bylaw.
Yes.
Do you want to say what that is, Erica? Because there's some people who don't know, and I think it's really important.
There's videos online.
In the city of Abbotsford, we're actually not allowed to have hand out needles or exchange them. We're the third highest Hep C in BC. Wow. And you can actually be charged.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get charged, so we get into court.
Yeah, and they won't charge us because they know what.
Yeah.
So it's, but technically, and it puts a lot of us. I'm a recovered addict, and I've been on methadone, and now I do outreach, and we're very, very restricted on how we can provide help, and right now I'm going through an issue with helping a woman, which I refuse to say client, and that's just my thing, but I work with women, and she has a mental health disorder, a substance use disorder, and she has chronic pain from a trauma and assault that was done to her spine. And she had scoliosis from when she was young as well. So the impact of the trauma on her spine is actually, she's in consistent pain. Now, she was an addict before the spine really started to act up. She's been on methadone for 10 years. Her emotional state and self-worth is deteriorated. She wants to die. She can't imagine how her drug of choice has now changed to crystal meth for mobility purposes. Her doctor, the only one that will work with her, because the clinic that we have in Abbotsford says we don't treat for pain. So somehow she's gone from being an addict on methadone to someone who takes methadone for pain, but she's still an addict on methadone, and always has been. She's now been refused a referral for her back because she uses crystal meth for the mobility because of her back, and her mental health issue is kicked in so much that like she has no quality of life. And the pain, their idea of pain management, now I'm on methadone, I never used it for pain, mind you, but their idea of pain management was to split her dose so that it was 65 and then 65. And to me, I just don't understand, if you need to medically, if you have to regulate your own pain, how does one do that on methadone with it in two doses? So if I have more pain in the evening time or in the middle of the day, and I can't regulate my own pain medication, and she's got a tolerance, they haven't adjusted it, increased it, she's been on this for 10 years. So I'm not understanding, and nobody wants to prescribe her pain because she's an addict. Nobody wants to get her in for a referral to see her back because she's an addict. And we're sitting there running around, getting doors shut. We actually had to come down here to Vancouver, to St. Paul's, because our hospital in Abbotsford, this is carried into the stigma and the attitude and the belief system in Abbotsford from this harm reduction bylaw has filtered into the health system.
you know, they will make us sit and wait for 8 hours hoping we'll leave. Because you know she's an addict and she's gonna Jones and pretty soon she's gonna be out the door, right? And and this is not, from being on one side, I know what it's like, and then sitting there watching it and trying to help someone else. And all I'm trying to get for her is for her to get a referral for her back. And they don't wanna do it until she looks at her habit.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Carla, and then Richard.